All right, everything was excellent in the videos. Let's see, while I'm thinking about it, for improv next time, I really want you to play in different places. So let's make it a point to, let's say, when you start off down at the A note here. And kind of in that shape. It doesn't have to stay in that specific shape, but just start down here. So let's start getting you playing in unfamiliar territory. Yeah, definitely have some good phrases in there. Oh man, now I'm trying to remember what one of them that you did. Something like, was it that? Something like that. Damn, now I can't remember. I guess I waited too long to start making this after watching that. But yeah, there was definitely some good stuff in there. Glad you're feeling more confident with it as well. So yeah, just make that a point next time. Start down here, 5th fret of the low E string, and then just kind of go in this territory. So once you get more comfortable going around the fretboard, especially since you got a good chunk of it memorized. So next legato thing, more slides, and we're just covering a lot of distance here, really. So there is a pattern that's happening. So you can think of it as like groups of 5, or like how this thing works. So those are the initial notes. And then what you're going to do is take those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. Did I say groups of 5? I think I made that mistake with somebody else not too long ago. It's groups of 7. Groups of 7. So yeah, those 7 notes right there, you're going to play it again 1 octave higher. So those are the same notes, and then once again an octave higher. Now, right here, that 15th fret, that G note there, that is the end of the ascending portion as well as the beginning of the descending portion. So right there, that is the 7th note in that ascending pattern, but also the first note of the descending pattern, which will also be groups of 7. So you're descending those 7 notes right there. And then you do the same thing, same notes, 1 octave lower. And then again, an octave lower. And then when you start doing the repetitions, that note you slide down into is also going to be, so the last note of the descending portion plus the first note of the ascending portion. So just kind of being able to see those groups of notes, and then move it up an octave, move it up an octave, and then start going down, move that down an octave, move that down an octave. Kind of seeing those little patterns can help make stuff like this a lot easier. So that applies to learning other people's songs, trying to figure out solos, riffs, whatever, looking for patterns, similar patterns, and that can help you like visualize everything a lot easier. All right, here we go. 60 beats per minute. 1, 2. Ooh, why is that so loud? Hang on. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa. Why didn't that move? There we go. 120, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Screwed it up. I didn't slide when I was supposed to. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, bad note too. Alright, one more time, or I'll slow it down if I have to. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tough one to keep looping. Holy crap. Alright, I'm just going to go down to 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure, you know, it's one thing to play something quickly just once through. It's a whole other story when you start adding in repetitions. Speaking of playing quickly, all right, we're going to do something a little different for the sweep picking here. Basically following a similar thing that my teacher gave me. So he gave me the 3-string and 5-string stuff back to back. I've fiddled with 4 strings a bit. It's kind of weird. Like how you have to stop where you're picking and whatnot to continue on with the whole sweep. But anyway, so we're going to do something special in how I want you to approach working on this. So it says there, if and when you get or hit the 240 beats per minute, send the video just to 240. That being said, if you do not reach 240 with this before next week, just do a regular practice session recording thing. That's okay. Now, there's no repetition on this thing because you're basically repeating the shape already. So, because of how many notes are being used or how many strings are being used, it's kind of an uneven amount of notes going on, so we got to go up and down this thing a couple of times to end it on that downbeat of 4 there. So basically doing repetitions already. Now, I thought about giving like some of the other shapes, but I feel that might be too much to try it once. This thing is so freaking hard. Like, when I was learning sweep picking and I felt pretty decent at the 3-string stuff that you started out with, I was shocked how much more difficult adding in the other 2 strings was. Like, it was ridiculous. Now, we got several downstrokes in a row here and only a few upstrokes before we start doing the whole downstroke thing again. However, over here you may, have noticed that you have another upstroke instead of switching it to a down. So anytime I'm playing this sort of thing, and I'm just going to end a phrase like this or end a sweep pattern like this, I'll just land it with the upstroke because I'm not going anywhere else. So that's why I'm having this just end on the up. So I have seen people want to do like an upstroke here and then they switch to the downstroke there. But the way I'm thinking of it is this is always the start of the ascension, of the ascending part of the sweep. So I want to hit that with a downstroke every time, so this way it's consistent. So that's just what seems to work really well for me, and I've tried it both ways. And I've noticed that when I was like working things up, getting these kind of things under the fingers, I didn't have as much like guidance on making sure like I'm using a certain kind of fingers, strokes, pick direction and all that. It was basically like, here's this thing, work it up. Just use whatever fingers feels natural and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So what I noticed is, because I remember like trying to show a friend what to do a long time ago. And I think I thought the same thing, or not the same thing, but I would do this, and then I told him, like, do an upstroke there, and then flip it to the downstroke. So... But I noticed that as I actually started going faster, voice crack, when I started going faster, I naturally did it the other way. So hitting that with that downstroke to start it again. Unless I ended it. Now, something Michelangelo Badio talks about, and I noticed I do the same thing after he pointed that out. Eventually you get to a point where you're playing something like this so dang fast, you actually hit that bottom note twice. So, like doing something like this. Like, I'm definitely hitting that twice there. I'm going... So, I'm finishing the sweep with the upstroke, and then going straight into that downstroke. Now, that's really a result of me just messing around, having fun with the sweep stuff, and just trying to go fast, not with a metronome, but just going for it. And there are periods of time where you just need to go for stuff, still focusing on trying to make it sound as good as possible. And I hadn't even noticed that I was doing that until Badio pointed it out in one of his videos. I'm like, holy crap, I'm doing the same thing. So eventually you can actually work on something like that. But for now, we're going to just do it this way to build as much control and clarity of the notes as possible. And this kind of shape is perfect for a little bit of palm muting. You remember how we talked about that a while ago? How you noticed like a bit of a mute. You were doing that thing. Well, here, whoops. I definitely like palm muting, those lower notes especially. It really helps keep things clean because you got to keep moving your fingers every single time you hit, a new note. So a little bit of palm muting can actually make things sound a lot better here. All right. What else? Yes, you know most of this shape already. That is your 3 notes per string, or 3 notes per string. Your 3-string sweep shape. So this is a continuation. So we're basically adding in these 2 notes down here. So we're going to start with the pinky. So basically we got this A minor chord, which is putting the notes in order of, well, hang on. We haven't gone over that stuff yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. We're going to get to that pretty soon, though. The chord theory and how this stuff, like what it all means. But yeah, it's basically, you got the notes A, C, and E. And just kind of going over those again and again. So A, C, E, A, C, E. And just does that twice. So we've been starting here on the E notes. So technically that makes it an A minor over E. We're definitely not there yet in our theory. We're going to do some theory this week as well. So anyway, let's get into playing this thing. So again, if and when you hit 240, send over a video of the 240 right then and there. If you can't get to 240 before next week, that's totally fine. Just send in a regular video. And either way, we're going to go to the next shape. Okay. 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. how my hand kind of has the pick go this way, basically slanting or tilting the pick this way for the descending, the downstrokes, ascending the shape, and then it turns this way when I'm descending the shape or doing the upstrokes. So it's got to change a little bit in order to allow the pick to glide across the strings. All right, let's do that again at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo, that's terrible. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Damn it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. One more for good measure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very awkward speed for me. But yeah, I was trying to do my usual thumb over the top there, I think. But no, you really gotta let this hand help with the muting. Yeah, so that right hand's really got to help you out when you're ascending the shape. And then the left hand can go back to some muting duties when you are descending the shape. Okay. Yes, everything was good on the theory homework you did. Where did I put that? Oh, right. I didn't download it. I just looked at it on the on your email. Hang on. Let me go download that real quick. Pull it up. That's not you. Here you are. Alright, it's opening up right now. Let me switch over to the display capture. Here we go. And almost done. Transform, reset, boom. Okay. So, yes, everything is correct. I mean, yep, weird old B sharps and C flats. So, but you're always welcome to email me on those sorts of things. But yeah, I'm glad you found the right answer. And yeah, it's kind of a weird thing that really messed me up. Well, not messed me up. It was confusing when I learned about this stuff. And I made like the typical mistake, like I would say C instead of B sharp, and then have like two kinds of C's or whatever. But yeah, you got everything right. So a big part of this is just getting you used to seeing things in a orderly manner. And what you did here was also work through the circle of fifths. So if you've ever heard of that, it's basically this guy right here. So actually, we'll go over that more in a second here. But yeah, circle of fifths, it's a very common thing that's talked about. So basically, you're going to see the key signatures in music a lot, as you're going to see here. This is going to be your music theory stuff for the week. You see right here, you have one sharp symbol. And then down here, you have one flat symbol. Those are key signatures. This is telling you what key the music is in, or at least what it's based in. You can still have notes step out of key in notation or whatever. It really depends on what you're playing, or whoever wrote the music wants to do. What they want to do. When you see no sharps or flats, then it's implied it's the key of C. So all natural notes. So it's helpful to see that stuff, especially when all the theory things that we're going to do. So this way you'll know in advance like what happens in what key. So let's get back to this. But yeah, circle of fifths basically, when you go up 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that note right there, G, is the root note of the scale or key. The major scale or major key, really the same things. You get the same notes. That's the root note of the key with 1 sharp. As you see here, key of G, it has the 1 sharp. So we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D, the key of D has 2 sharps. As you see here, it has 2 sharps. Whatever was sharp in the previous key, in this case F sharp, the next key will also have that sharp, plus the new one. And the new sharp is always the 7th note, every single time. So A is the 5th note of the key of D. The key of A is the next key with an additional sharp. The F sharp comes over, the C sharp comes over, and G sharp, the 7th note, is the new sharp. So yes, I had you doing that on purpose. So every single one of these increases by 1 sharp every time. Now, you can go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to get the flat keys. But I like to call it the circle of fourths, because going up in 4 is a lot easier than going down in 5. So just count up 1, 2, 3, 4. You get to the same thing. So F, the key of F, has 1 flat, which is B flat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the 4th note in the key of F. So that means B flat, the key of B flat, has 2 flats. And every time you have a new flat, it's always the 4th note, which is also the note of the new key with 1 more flat. So that's what this thing is here. Just a nice convenient image to reference whenever you'd like. So yeah, just going around the circle of fifths there. Key of C has no sharps, no flats. Key of G has 1 sharp. Key of D has 2. Key of A has 3. And then it has the sharps and flats listed down here. Just kind of showing how they grow, or they add 1 at a time. And then if you go to the left of the circle, well, those are the circle of fourths I just talked about. So, and then like here, the black text says that's for major keys. So yeah, the key of C major, G major, D major. Minor keys, that's the relative minor. So A minor is the same key as the C major. G major and E minor, same thing. D major and B minor, same thing. The same 7 notes. Same 7 notes. So what I'd like you to do for the theory stuff, we're going to do some power chord things. Bring this up. Okay. So what I got here, basically your power chords or 5th chords in the key of C laid out one after the next. I do have Roman numerals listed above each chord, which we'll get into more detail as we get through this theory stuff. But, so yeah, because some of it's capitalized, some of it's lowercase, or uppercase and lowercase. But the main thing to remember is like this is chord number 1, chord 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 7th always has a flat 5 when dealing with stuff in key. So like a regular B5 actually is not in key because it contains an F sharp note. So this B5 flat 5 has an F in it. It sounds very, very dissonant. So what I did was I wrote out all the power chords in the key of C. It's kind of going up the fretboard, and anytime we reach this point where the chord can also be played open, we go down to the open position as well, and then continue climbing from there. So I just want you to play through all these chords, kind of pay attention to how they look and sound. So the ones you use the most are these two lines here. These are less common, starting on the D string. These are very uncommon, starting on the G string. And then starting on the B string, almost never happens, but you can make up some pretty cool riffs and licks with it. So just good to know that fretboard in and out. Now, notice these are only 2 strings. That's because you only need those 2 notes right there to make a full power chord. That being said, every single one of these 3-string power chords, you can get rid of that top note, and that's perfectly fine. So you don't have to only do power chords with that. You can just do this. So depending on the song, how you're trying to play things, you might be better off with 2 strings instead of 3. So what I want you to do after getting a bit familiar with that, that's 1 sharp. What key is that? I'm not telling you. You know this. You learned it. So we just kind of talked about it. The key with 1 sharp. Your job is to basically take all this idea here, transpose it to the key of G. So for the key of C, like using that worksheet you filled out, you just go in order, like C, D, E, F, G, and so on. I have the Roman numerals laid out to help you go where you need to go. So when you get to stuff like this, you have the same Roman numeral twice. That means you're going to play this chord up at the high octave and then also in the open position. Same thing here. This will be done at the high octave and open position. Down here, the 1 is at the beginning and the end, so you're actually going to start in the open position for this, finish with the high octave. Now there is an exception to that in this key that has 1 flat. You're always going to play something at the high octave and then down low. In this key, one of the chords cannot be played in an open position because of the notes that are in the key. So you will play at the high octave. When you see that Roman numeral come up again, which so you see it twice, that means you play high octave first, then low octave. So just something to be aware of. So yeah. And also what I want you to do is input the chord names. And if you don't know how to do that, 1 second, let me bring that thing back up. So just have your cursor over the chord, anywhere on the chord, and hit the letter A. That'll bring that up. And then just hit OK or hit Enter. I also have the display diagrams turned off. I would keep that off because it's just going to be a giant mess at the top of the page if you leave that on. So display diagram, make sure that's off. Display name, yes, we want that. Display diagram, no, we want that off. And I think that covers, oh yes, and then you got your new scale thing, 2 strings at a time. Ascending everything 2 strings at a time. Now that covers it all. All right, any questions, let me know, and I will see you again in your new videos.